Right, hello people, sorry for the late start, got a bit of a delay here, got a few phone calls happening in the background. As those who may know, an Asian phone call isn't exactly the most quiet thing, so I do apologise if you do hear some background noise. Thankfully most of you understand it, and hopefully our analysis will draw your attention back to me. So hello to everybody, how are we all today? Whoa, quite a few things happening on my side, a lot of shooting. I've realized I haven't done a reflection video for the last month or so. I've done quite a bit of shooting, seeing some form increases and some really good things. When you go from shooting once a month or once a week to 3 or 4 times a week, there are some very big advances. And now I'm figuring out that, wow, a lot of things that I'm doing now I should have done 4 years ago. But there are some really big things to kind of reflect on. I might wait to a major event before I get around to talking about those major form changes. I'm also looking at a little more coaching from people, as well as some other minor events. I've also just shot my the bows and bow horn longbow, which is looking really good, and other things as well. So I've got several videos lined up for this form check, but I want to start this video with, I guess, a reflection or a lesson. I've been talking to one of the one of our club members, and I have a strange relationship in my club because technically I'm not the coach, which makes sense. My qualifications instructor, so I'm the level 1, the help out the line. I am unofficially the senior archer based on experience alone, and the fact that I've been doing a lot more work with the people. And I am, well, I'm technically not qualified to coach. I have the ad hoc mentor role. Because I'm not formally the club coach, I've never been appointed, and therefore it's not my job to coach people. People don't ask me to coach. Though, if they wanted to be coached, the first thing you would do without paying a coach is to come and see me. So it's not something I consciously advertise, and ironically, people from elsewhere come to the club to get advice from me, but my own club doesn't. So it's a strange informal relationship. The reason why I point this out is because, I see people who probably would benefit from coaching, and I have the knowledge, the tools, and the methods to do so. But because people aren't asking me to help them, it feels strange, because I don't feel like I should go to them and say, you should do this. Today I decided to cross that line, because there's one person at the club who's doing a particular action who I feel is not progressing in the right way, and this is the lesson that I want to teach. And I had to preface everything as, in my opinion, and if I was your coach, which I'm not, because you get some experiences. I know in other places you occasionally get people who have an idea of the way you should do things, and they'll push it on you, and the person who receives the advice doesn't want it, and they'll get very defensive, and they'll say, oh, this is a bad club, this is a bad experience, and so on. So I don't want to be the cause for someone to get really bad advice and therefore quit the sport because this is, smart ass know-it-all who tells them how to do everything. But at the same time, the dilemma is that, the club wants to pay a visiting coach to come in, and the visiting coach is basically saying everything I would say and teach them what I would teach. So I don't know, it's a strange dilemma which I'm in right now. But the point which I'm observing here is, so our club member is shooting, typical 30-meter distance, but he can just barely hit the target. He'll shotgun everything. There's no grouping. And when you're not at the level where you can even group, you shouldn't be shooting at that distance. There should be a minimum requirement or benchmark or qualification, but you should get to 30 meters. So you shoot 10 meters until you're able to group at 10 meters, then you shoot 20 meters until you group at 20 meters, and so on. So you keep on following this process where you will graduate to a higher level for further distance, because there's no point shooting at a far distance if you are unable to shoot at that distance. So the discussion we were having is what he was focusing on, because what I see as a coach is different to what the archer may intuitively feel. And I had a very strong disagreement with the methodology. It wasn't dangerous, but the methodology in improving was not something I agreed with. So what this person was doing was he was shooting 30 meters, and he didn't, in my point of view, wasn't paying any attention to his technique. He was shooting a recurve, freestyle, so he was using a clicker on the side to know it and so on. But his release was inconsistent. But more alarming to me was he ignored the clicker. So he would use the clicker, he would pull it back, yank it through, it would go off, and he wouldn't shoot. He'd just ignore it, and then about 2 or 3 seconds later, he would then finally shoot. And the results were erratic, of course, because for those who are familiar and experienced, a good release and a clean shot is reliant on back tension. When you ignore the clicker, which is designed specifically to activate the back muscles and therefore get consistent back tension, then you don't shoot properly. You are conditioned to shoot or to release when the clicker goes off. And that's what I told him was I felt, in my opinion, this was negative training, because you are conditioning yourself to ignore the clicker, which is bad. That's actually really bad, because when you get to the point where you're going to have to use the clicker, you've mentally conditioned yourself, you psychologically conditioned yourself to not shoot on the clicker. It's easier. It's if you're not going to use the clicker at all, don't use it. As in, like, don't put it on the arrow, yank it through, and ignore it. Just don't use it at all, because there's no benefit, there's no reason. If your draw length is not consistent, then work on your draw length. But if you're not going to use a clicker at all, then don't put it on. And I've got a feeling that learning to use the clicker properly is going to be an immense struggle, because you have to now teach yourself to let go when the clicker goes off. But the other reason is what he learned and what we learned together, which we already know this, is that every grouping you have tells a story. Every pattern on target tells a story, and you have to be able to identify the cause and effect. So if arrows do certain things on the target, therefore there should be certain causes. So if you have a vertical dispersion, you know it's your anchor point, or you know it's your elbow angle, or so on. If it's horizontal, you know it's a sighting problem. So our fellow club shooter is shotgunning the target. There is absolutely no grouping, no consistency. And I'm trying to help him by guiding him and trying to figure out what's the story, what does this tell us? And again, intuition isn't a good thing if you don't know what to look for. So what he told me was that this is probably a sight thing. He was struggling to get a sight alignment, and this is why I strongly disagreed. The issue isn't sighting, because in order to correlate a grouping with your sight usage, you need to be able to figure out if your fundamentals are correct, because knowing where you are aiming and how to get the arrow there are two different things. You might be pointing in the right direction, but if your release and your back tension and your follow through and your technique are all wrong, then you have no correlation to the target. So the question, and he's an IT guy, so I could correlate and try to explain the way to understand, but the data points don't match to what's being done. So how can you tell? How do you know that you have met the success criteria? How do you know that you are actually aiming the right spot? Because even if you are aiming the right spot, your release has prevented you from achieving that consistency. And that was the point of disagreement. And I guess I was kind of triggered in the wrong way, because he was kind of lecturing to me, or kind of dictating to me his process and his understanding of sights and so on. And I encourage this for students, to have a discussion with your coach. So don't get a coach to tell you what to do, or a teacher to tell you what the things are, but to engage in the conversation and the discourse. Therefore, the teacher and the student both learn. But I was just listening to his description of how this sight rim blocked the target, of how shooting with both eyes open is better than one eye, and so on. Having learned the correct way myself, I couldn't relate to this actually because I was trained properly and therefore the fundamentals were in place. And I learned through my mistakes and so on. So when he was explaining to me, I was trying to go, but that's not the way it should be. And I said it now in certain terms. If I was the coach, I would make him go back to 10 meters, work on fundamentals, not learn to use sight. He wanted to get the sight correct because in his mind, he could only work on one thing at a time. Therefore, it's going to work on sight only. In my mind, in my coaching experience, you don't work on one thing at a time. You work on everything. Because when you're learning fundamentals, you have to learn everything. You can't just learn only aim or only release or only back tension. You need to incorporate all these things together. And that was why I was strongly disagreeing with the shooter here. Because he cannot learn to use a sight if he doesn't know how to use a bow. And that's what I disagreed with. Anyway, that's my preamble. The point here was, as a coach, you have to be careful with what people, who wants advice and who wants to be taught. Because I'm not the coach, I can't go around and shove advice in people's faces. And that's something I follow even on the internet. So today we're watching people who did ask for advice, and hopefully we'll see some things happen. So, by the way, hi chat, I know you're watching me. I'm not ignoring you, just telling a little yarn there. But this is kind of my mindset as a coach or as an instructor, as, you know, I'm not here to give unsolicited advice. This is a rule I follow at the club. If people want to ask me for advice, I give advice. They don't, no, I don't give advice. Those who are online who want my advice, I'm here to give advice. So hello to the usual crowd there. I've got a few familiar faces. Rob, Sammy, Nathan, David Wood. I got your message before. Didn't realise you were Australian. You're into Woombot. That's interesting. And Sammy had a good round last time, by the way. So happy to see that you got your long distance round. Nice. Super windy is tough. But if you only lost 13 points in long distance and really, really windy conditions, then you are doing a pretty good job. And you're right. When the other person loses 50 points, then it feels good when you're pulling ahead. That's a really, really good point there. But yes, the advice which I was giving Sammy before was like the visual aspect of shooting. When you shoot really well at say 40 or 50 meters and you drop it at 60 meters, well, why? What's the cause? And sometimes the 60 meter distance or the 70 meter distance can be very unnerving because the target size is smaller in relation to the distance. You feel a bit more pressure to get the arrow on target. You might miss the target, so you psych yourself out and your process breaks down. So by keeping it together, keeping a smooth process, you're able to get more consistent results. And there's no reason why you can't shoot the same at long distance. There'll be a natural dispersion, which means you won't be as precise, but you still should be as accurate. And that is the point of my previous video on accuracy and precision. So let's go to our first form check. Now this one comes from Dui, I believe. Let's double check it. It is Dui or Yui in Vietnamese. So he's a Vietnamese American. Yui, we say Dui in English, but it's actually Yui. But he is shooting a 20-pound bow. It's a My Bow Elite, I believe, which is a very nice bow. I just reviewed that, by the way. And he is, I believe, entirely self-taught. So from the background, and by the way, I do apologize, Dewey. I missed your video last time. You were the one guy who I had like 6 or 7 in the last stream. Completely forgot about this one, but I do have it here right now. So sorry, 28-pound bow. Is this the My Bow Elite? I'm just trying to emails out. So 28-pound bow. He is watching a lot of videos and practicing in his room, starting with an anchor point on the corner of his lip, but now it's changed to his jaw, so he's not as consistent. He's trying to fine-tune it and find a comfortable place they can repeat every time. He's also working on keeping the back straight, keeping the elbow down, as opposed to having a very high draw. And he wants to know how hard the elbow should be. Okay, we'll look at that a bit later. And also to note about head rotation and the string contact and rotating the head to align the dominant eye of the string. Okay, so basically a lot of anchoring. So let's watch this process together and we'll get some commentary. Alright, I think we've got that working right now. And morning, by the way, from California. Good to see you. Let's have a okay, let's try that one again. Alright, bing. Nope. Alright, let's do it this way then. Alright, let's close this chat window. Alright, this should work now. What madness is this? Let's see. Let's tweak a few things. Let's pick up the wrong browser right now. Let's see if I can get this right this time around. Let's not do that, and let's not do that. I have for the Jaguar Elite. I've got a funny story with the Jaguar Elite, actually. I'll share it next time. Bing! What is wrong with that thing? Ah! Nutty! Alright, let me close the chat window. I might pop it again later. I think OBS is picking up my other open window. Let us now go back to Bing. There we go. Alright, that'll work. I'll read chat later in the thing. What I might do, this should work now. If I pop chat out now, because I keep chat in a separate window, although I do have the window in here. I don't want to keep on switching windows to look at chat. What I should have done is I put the stream on Chrome rather than on Firefox in the same browser as this. But let's do another check here. I think we should be good, and it's a miracle. Good. Okay. That was a little strange, but we got it working. As you say in Japanese, yatta! So let's watch Dewey shoot. Alright, he's in California too, by the way, so let's watch him go. Double check the full screen, works fine. Let us now watch. We got it working. Put the sound off, then it would sound. So we keep all that feedback in mind. Let's see his shot process. Unfortunately, I can't get that sidebar to go down, but you can see a few things happening. The sound was desynced anyway. Alright, let's have a bit of a look. Alright. Good angles too, by the way. I always like commenting on the actual filming because some things are more helpful than others. I like the editing, nice and smooth, easy to repeat this. And we can learn a lot from the angles. So this is good filming for a form check. Alright, good angles again. We'll watch a sequence. It's only a few minutes long. We get a very good idea of what he needs to do. So there's no click on the bow. And this is not the My Bow Elite, by the way. It's a Junsing bow. Okay. I was going to ask about Junsing bows. I haven't used it before. I was in contact with one of the guys who was trying to distribute it for Junsing the States, but Junsing apparently aren't interested in getting people to review their products. So it's a little awkward with some of the Chinese companies because you have a lot of middlemen who want me to who need to like sell product but don't have like the parent company doesn't recognize the need to get influencers and reviews, but that's beside the point. So let's go through in a bit more detail into it. So watch this angle first. So to address the first question, what should the the first question is what should the angle at the elbow be, and that's basically about right. A little low, I think. So the rule of thumb is to get the right back tangent, especially on the jaw anchor, is that the elbow and the arm should be pointed towards the top of the grip. So that's basically perfectly in line. You can see it's not much of a break from the arrow, so it's very close to center line, and that's just high enough for back tension. You could get away with a slightly higher position, but around ear level is about right for most people, and that will get you with the right angle to activate the back muscles. That's good. I also like how the wrist is straight. A lot of people shoot with an inward wrist. Good example of this, watch Hawkeye from the Adventures. He's very bad at doing this. This straight wrist shows good form. So this part here looks pretty good here. And it's weak on the anchor point. So the facial reference points are there. I find you can probably tilt your head forward a bit here, and we'll see the different angle later on. We'll know exactly what we need to do. But so far, This drawing arm looks okay. The front shoulder looks okay. And this looks okay too. It's a very large arm guard. I'm not too fond of big arm guards, but there's no harm there. Once you know your technique right, you'll be fine. So we'll watch the first few shots, and so far so good here. Alright, he anchors in there, and he has the right idea. I feel that his back tension could be a little better. You'll see there's a slight collapse. He'll creep forward just a bit, and he'll fling the arrow forward. It's not a bad shot, but it's something which will completely ruin your left-right aim. But this angle shows a better view of the anchor point, what they need to do. And what I recommend is more contact here. The key idea is to try to get behind the arrow. I need a bow here to demonstrate this. Give me a second, guys. I need a mock bow. I should really remember to keep one strung up all the time, but I've got this fiberglass one ready for emergency demonstration purposes. But I was saying before that what you really want to do, guys, is to try and get your elbow behind the bow. That's what kind of really gives you the clean release feeling. A lot of people do archery, they don't realize what a good shot feels like. And this will mean, what I said before in the preamble, is a lot of people have a certain concept of intuition where it would feel good. But the question is, how do you know it feels good unless you've been told it feels good? What if your feeling is wrong? So I want to explain exactly what I mean by the good feeling. So what we need here, what we need here is to get behind the string, okay, or behind the arrow. Hypothetically, if I'm shooting, it's going to point the arrow this way, a bit point bow. So what I kind of want to do, I think the best way I'm doing this here, that's going to re-angle the camera a bit, okay? Point that way. Oh, the other part of the room. Cool. Okay, so what I'm trying to do, oh, Neil. Okay, perfect. Okay, what I'm going to demonstrate here is the idea. Nobody walks through that door. Is you want to get behind the string, okay? So if you're standing right behind me, I don't want to have my elbow pointing out this way. So a lot of people shoot like this, and you can see a chicken wing here. Like the bow is here, that's your center line, but the people would draw inwards with bent wrist and have the arm out this way. That's obviously not good. But the thing that I'm trying to look for is you can get the elbow back here. This is good. So if we follow this center line with the bow, and I draw properly, okay, let's see that. That is, you can see the elbow here is in line with the string. And hypothetically, if the arrow is there, then that will be in line with the arrow. Some archers will get even further back and go even further, which is okay. But optimally, you want to get directly behind that. And for that reason, some people will lean forwards or have a slight hunch. That's completely fine. So what you end up doing is you might kind of hunch this way and then sit perfectly there. So that's what I'm looking for when it comes to back tension and elbow alignment. Woof! Sorry about that, guys. A little flare. But that is the principle which I'm looking for. Now, how is this relevant? If we look back at Dwee and his video, realign. What we're looking for is this elbow being a little further back. So his elbow angle is good enough, but honestly, this come a little further back because you can see in some shots he'll collapse. I feel, by the way, that he should hold for a bit more. A lot of archers, so you need more contact here, and that contact will also help bring the elbow further back. I also feel he needs to hold the shot for a bit longer. Now, many people who do archery will have a very rapid sequence where they draw, anchor, and shoot. They don't actually hold the shot. You do need to hold. There's a second or second and a half where you need to consolidate everything, align everything, check things, and squeeze or expand the back muscles, expand through the shot. So if you release right away, you strip yourself of the opportunity to consolidate on a good shot and feel a good shot. So let's just watch the speed of this here. Anchor, and he's gone already. So I recommend for Dwee, anchor and hold. So when you get to this point here, get in there, hold. That's where you should be holding. Hold there, squeeze through. And again, those watching, Camera switch. Right. Where's my button? Here it is. Okay. So for those watching the game, for those watching this, is there a balance? We'll fix that a bit later. It's mostly because I'm talking out of one side. So what we'll look for here is this motion. Instead of going in and then shoot, you want to draw and then hold and then shoot. So draw, hold, then shoot. I'm obviously going to do it with a dry fire, but you want to draw, anchor, hold, and at this point, you shoot. You want to expand through the shot. If you don't do that, you end up kind of flinging arrows randomly. And as I think O'Kanan pointed out, there, his arm is far away. It doesn't seem that far away, but we'll look at it from the angle again. Let's have a look here. So back to the shot sequence. I don't see a problem with his arm being far away, unless from this angle. Now, this is where we really see back tension being used and not used. Bit of an attempt there. And you see the need for the hold, okay? So, we get the full draw. And you can see he's struggling a bit with his anchor point, which is okay. But he also loses back tension here. When you start seeing that shudder, or that slight twitch, you've lost back tension, it's going to be a bad shot. Very hard to recover from that sort of twitch. So see again, anchor, this looks okay. A little stiff in the release, but nothing wrong with that too badly. And you can see he's trying really hard to get the motion through. So he's doing the right motion, but try to focus on a single direction draw. That's okay. But you can see the lack of a hold is that you kind of get a feel for when you should release, and that is not when you should release. You're not ready yet. In, and then boop, it goes a little fast there, but this one's the one which is fast. That's alright actually. Bit of a hold there. Wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. So we go through the sequence one more time. So I want to see a bit more here. So the scapula isn't really coming out as much. I want to see this even further back. We'll see a video later, I think, of someone doing it really well. But this one, he's working towards it, but we need more engagement in the back muscles through there. And watch the final shots. Again, that was not a really good back tension shot. You can see instead of the hand coming straight back, it's more of a limp motion. So it tries. It's not a bad shot. And see if we do this angle again. That was a cleaner angle, but he's not yet used to his anchor point there. So it goes in there, hasn't adjusted yet, and it releases Falcon holding. So you need a hold step. Make sure you get it feeling right before you release. Most of the steps are looking pretty good here, Dwee. So you're doing okay, and you need more practice with the process. That was a good rhythm there. That was alright there. So try to focus, and this is the same at the start, but try to focus on those things. So I said before, the arm angle is good. Try to get the elbow behind the string. That's optimal. Big one here. Try to hold for a bit longer before you release. Get the hand touching the jaw more. You may want to lean forward a bit so your head is in line with the arrow. If you're leaning back too much, then you won't get the right contact on your face. Apart from that, keep it up. So that's our first video done. And I've accidentally done this. Let's close that. Yeah, that's our first video done. Whew. Don't have any archery juice at the moment, but I'll take a quick chat break. I'll close this window. We'll switch to our next one, and that looks good too. All right, I'm just gonna juggle all the form checks people are sending me. And again, you want to send me videos, sure to do so in chat. I'll have to look at it, or email rather. We'll have to take a look at it a bit later. All right, so where are we? Sorry, I just kind of skipped everybody there. Let's see. Evening to everybody else. Let's see. Yeah, shooting low poundage is pretty easy. 1029, hi, hello. Is a stabilizer necessary to complement using sights? Not necessary at all. Stabilizers are optional. Now, most people who do use sights will use stabilizers, not required, however. The thing to keep in mind with stabilizers is that they do basically help you shoot better because they will keep the bow stable. It makes it easy to hold it stable, but it adds more mass to the bow. So if you don't like holding more mass or more weight, then it's going to be, it'll take some time to get used to. It's generally good and preferred, but not required. And many people start archery don't use stabilizers right away. It's not needed. As Kenneth pointed out, it's not needed, but it helps. Again, as an obligatory reminder, it doesn't make shooting easier. It enables the archer to perform the action more consistently. All right. Next part there. Hi, Christine. Yeah, good. Let's see. Yeah, okay. The back tension would explain it. Yeah. There are a couple of things. If you're observing the same thing I am, the reason why I might seem off. The thing which put me off initially when watching Dwee's form is he's a very skinny guy. That's why it might seem a little weird, because you see guys who are kind of bulky or more muscular, so I find it's easier to find the alignment on kind of like well-built arms and shoulders. Someone who's very thin, they'll look a bit more distorted than usual. That's why I think it's something that doesn't quite look quite right. But I'm not worried about how it looks, it's more about the process and technique. Would using higher poundage help tension? This is a contentious point, because a lot of people intuitively have the notion that because they're using a light bow, they won't feel back tension, and therefore they need a heavier bow to engage their back muscles. This is correct, but only if you're looking at retrospectively. So if you are already good at using a bow and using back tension, then it's hard to go back to a light bow and engage back muscles. But someone who is learning from the ground up can't use back tension if they don't know what it is. You need to get back tension right on a light bow before you use back tension on a heavy bow. You don't learn back tension and correct expansion techniques on a heavy bow. Yes, a heavy bow requires it, but it doesn't teach you how to do it. That's the key. So, in my opinion, you shouldn't be using a heavier bow to activate your back muscles. If you need a heavy bow to activate back muscles, then you have very little muscle control. You need more discipline and control and experience. I don't think it's a good move, because people will shoot worse with a heavier draw weight, generally speaking, unless you are really competent and you've trained, you've upskilled your weight or your strength. Then yes, you could shoot equally well, but going up to a higher draw will punish more things, and you won't have a net gain in terms of your ability and skills as an archer. So I don't think that the draw weight is detrimental. It may seem like a light bow may be too easy to shoot, but if you can't shoot a light bow well, you won't shoot a heavier bow well. So you need to get it right on both a low weight and a higher weight if you have to. Let's see. James has the carbon 1 arrows. Yeah, no, they're pretty good arrows. Oh yeah, generic. The Jaguar Elite. Before that, Okanane. Yes, I agree with your summary there. The articulation of your back muscles is a separate skill. If you can do it well on a light bow, you should be able to do it well on a heavier bow, given the capacity to use a heavier bow. If you don't have back tension right on a light bow, you won't get it on a heavy bow, because now you are fighting the bow's weight. A good example is to correlate this. Weightlifting, right? If you can't get the right technique, let's say bicep curls for example, if you can't get this right with a light weight, then you won't get it right with a heavier weight, because it doesn't make any sense. And people say, oh, I need to feel a certain weight. Sure, if you're a gym junkie and you need the weight training, sure. But technique and the ability to use weight are different things. Now, the story with the Jaguar Elite, I actually have a funny story. I have used one before, but the Jaguar Elite was like the very first bow I looked at getting, because when my friends and I were first getting into archery, he wanted more the traditional looking feel, and the Jaguar Elite, or the Martin Jaguar, not the Jaguar Elite, but the Martin Jaguar was the one we were looking at. And there were a lot of videos online about the Martin Jaguar, and a lot of them were really crappy videos, because remember, this is like 8 years ago, where a lot of people weren't making YouTube videos for archery. I mean, most of them were really trad or really compound. The Jaguar Elite had a few reviews, and some of the ones we saw were really, really bad reviews. Like I'm sure I told this story before. Unfortunately, I can't find the video to show you. It might be gone now. I'll have a quick search. But we watched, there's a guy who had 2 different channels, and he had like the worst form I've ever seen. Like, a lot of these guys were shooting like the Martin Jaguar, and they were so bad. They're beginners, understandable, but like at the time, as someone who was not a trained archer, I didn't know any better. But unfortunately, I'm not sure if I can still find this guy who was making videos with the Martin Jaguar, because it's a pretty generic name. I don't know how to find him, and I might not bother. I'm trying to do so right now, but I'm just finding just random videos. But I'll explain what he was doing wrong. There were so many things wrong, I couldn't really like summarize in one video. This would be one of those don't be disguised videos. But what he was doing was he was using a Martin Jaguar. The Martin Jaguar is a right-handed bow. So he was using a 45-pound Martin Jaguar. He's a left-handed shooter. So he was using a right-handed bow, left-handed. That's number one. Number two was he couldn't draw it back. So he was basically, how can I say this? He was basically doing this. He was shooting at the right-handed bow, left-handed, and he's kind of drawing, because the arrow is on the wrong side, because the arrow for a right-handed bow is on this side of you, right? So he's holding it this way, and he can't pull it back all the way because it's too heavy for him, right? So he's holding it this way, he's pulling it here, but he has to bend his head over on the other side to shoot the bow. And it's just, I don't know, the weirdest form is, imagine a really skinny guy in his backyard going, you know, is a really skinny guy trying to go like that. That's his form. That's basically his form. And it's shooting at a low target as well. So that is I don't know. I can't explain it. Like, I can't replicate it anymore. And like a few weeks later, he made a second video on his other channel where he shot the thing. And I remember, I've got to find this video. Like I remember because I used my old account to comment on this video. I'm gonna make a very strange search because. Can I still find? No, I'm not gonna find it. Not gonna work. So the reason why the second video is really funny is because it was a really cheesy backyard video. I mean, fair enough. This was like 7 years ago, so this is all new to him. But what he was doing, he was walking in slow motion. There was like this digital like synthesizer music, like dung 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 dung, and it's like walking slow motion, you know, in his backyard towards the target, right? The things that it's so poorly edited, like the slow motion walk will look pretty epic, even from a one camera point of view from the back. It's okay. If you're trying to show off your bow, it's good. But the things that, like, you walk slow motion to your shooting line and you shoot towards the target. But what he was doing, he was standing so close to the target, he took like a whole minute to walk slow motion, and the target's like this far away. Okay, so I'm trying to get the angle right here. So the target, story time. So the target is like, it's like this far away. It's like 3 meters away. So it's walking slow motion, and he finally gets to the target, and he has to stand correctly. It takes another whole minute to get an arrow knocked. Get an arrow knocked, and then when he shoots, remember this technique, right? Shooting a right-handed bow, left-handed. So he has this Martin Jaguar, which is a sweet bow otherwise, and he has the thing where he pulls in, and he has to get his head over like this. But he can't hold the draw weight, so when he releases in slow motion, his body did such a strange thing. His body, he went, oh, like that. It was a strange rig. I've never seen it before, and because it was only in slow motion, it just looked bizarre. And I remember typing that in the comments under my original name was like, dude, like, firstly, porn music doesn't work, and it's generic background music. The second thing was, he's gonna like tear a muscle. Like, the way he was holding it back, it was just so awkward, and the way he released his body, like whole thing, like his body shook. It was ridiculous. Anyway, that was the Martin Jaguar story. Now, this wasn't a Jaguar Elite. The Jaguar Elite comes much later because it's an ROF. But the original Martin Jaguar was one of the bows on the market at the time as a trad bow. The reason why it was really popular is because it's basically a compound riser with recurve limbs. Very cheap bow to get at the time. Phew, sorry, that was my story there. Generic, not a very good one, I know, but when people say Martin Jaguar, I think of two things. The first is that video, which I saw when I first started doing archery, just kind of so bad. The second thing is one of my friends who joined our club briefly, and he brought a friend along, and he had his Martin Jaguar. And he couldn't shoot the thing. This is the example of people who buy overly heavy weights. He couldn't pull the bow back, so he was pulling it here. This was, I'm not exaggerating, his draw was this much. So, using a prop bow, as the benchmark here, so he's using about a 45, 50 pound Jaguar or something, and he only drew it this far. So he's shooting like 50 meters while lobbing arrows like this. He's only pulling back this far. He couldn't pull back any further than this. He just pulled it back here and let it go. And that's painful. That's really, really painful to watch. Nothing wrong with the bow. Just that so many people bought it. Like this was at the time. Like today you might see things like Mandarin Duck or Samick Sage. But the Martin Jag was one of the bows which people really bought early on. They kind of over marketed, overbought. And a lot of people who bought it didn't know what to do with it, how to use it. So it had a really bad rep, not because the bow was bad, but because it was like a lot of noobs bought it. Phew, anyway, long stories there, but back to the point. Points here, yeah, Nathan is right with the weightlifting. Technique and form will have to be there. You won't get you won't get many gains if you don't have good technique. And the same with archery. Like if people delude themselves with thinking that by pulling a heavy draw weight, you will eventually get the strength to use it. No, if you don't do it correctly, you don't engage the right muscles. Therefore, you will not get the strength to do it correctly. You keep doing bad things over and over again. And I will see this a lot at the range. People bring like a 45-pound bow because they really want to use it, but they do not have the strength to use it. So by doing short draws, you are in fact not getting the strength. And I remember seeing a lot of advice, or like, you know, or should I buy a compound or recurve? One of the dot points to see people say, oh, you can half draw a recurve. Yeah, you can, but you can't become stronger by half drawing until you reach full draw, because you're using a completely different muscle set. If you're half drawing, you're using a bicep or tricep at best. If you're doing it properly, you've got your back muscle engagement. So unless if you can't get back to here and full draw, then you're not doing it right. Chu cultural exchange. Gao Ying, in his the Way of Archery, talks about achieving full draw. Those who do thumb draws and Eastern archery understand that full draw is paramount. What we consider to be like the anchor point of full draw is the same principle in Asian archery. And if you can't get the full draw, then you are not doing it correctly. For those who are, for example, doing officials, Mandarin exams, and you have to demonstrate your skill with a bow. You have to pull it back, and if you can't pull it back, then you don't qualify. It's such an important thing to get full draw and good technique. If you can't get it right, no matter what style you use, you are therefore not doing correctly. So, we had a few different things there. Let's talk through some other forms while we do that. Some talk about stuff. There's a question before. Sorry, there's a good one. I missed that question. Oh, okay then. Do positive reviews get more YouTube views than negative ones? Reviews of bow equipment? Neither. You know, whatever is more popular and more searchable will get more views. So like doing stuff like Mandarin Duck will get you a lot of views because Mandarin Duck sells very cheap gear. The market on the internet is driven by affordability, not quality, affordability. So reviewing a really good but very high priced bow will not get as much interest as a very low price bow. Remember the Samick Sage syndrome. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, the Sage was selling like mad on every platform. So stores had to stock it. So people were buying the Samick Sage. That's largely gone now. The Sage is still being sold, but the craze kind of over. So now it's Mandarin Duck. People want to find out about the Mandarin Duck Phantom. And as certain people might get sponsored, for example, Survival Lily was sponsored by Mandarin Duck to make videos. you get a million people who want to find out about Mandarin duck now. So there's more demand for it. And by the way, look, companies, if you're a company and you want like an influence, you want like a sudden surge in popularity, like sponsor or send a bow to a major influence, like an outdoor channel. Hard to do for archery because there aren't many archery channels which are big enough to have a major impact on sales. But I can tell you now that a big chunk of my views came from the fact that Survival Lily used a Mandarin duck bow. And when I review it, I use the same bow. Bang, everyone to find out. So there's a role for influencers. Jin, just wondering how much effect an overly stiff arrow would have. It depends on how stiff it is. It's better to be too stiff and too soft, but overall it just means that your arrows will drift. It also means that your arrows will inherently not be as precise. You can still be accurate, but you won't group as tightly, especially at longer distance, because there's more variation now. But it's actually okay for the most part. Roa Fizan, Field Championships will be held this year. Do you think World Field should be done multiple times a year? Multiple? Oh, okay. Alright, the answer do I think it should be held multiple times a year? There is one problem, I think, logistically with field archery. I want to see more tournaments in general. There are a couple of problems with multiple field because most of the archers who make national teams have to do field and target, indoor and outdoor. Cloud is generally not in the list, but for example, to make the state team here, you need to be ranked in all three, field, indoor, outdoor. So the problem with having multiple field events, field isn't as popular as target. Target is the premier event. The thing with field, there are a couple of things logistically. One is calendar, right? So you don't have so much time in a calendar year to fit all the events in. You might have 4 World Cups and a World Championship. Then you have the indoor events, and then you have the non-WA events, stuff like the Vegas shoot, stuff like the Lancaster Classic, whatever. Okay, so there are multiple events happening. And then you have 3D, then you have field, and so on. So you have a pretty packed calendar. And most athletes are not professional athletes. You have the few who their job is to go around and shoot. But many competing athletes from many countries are amateurs. They're not professionals. They might be sponsored, but they don't do it as a career. So you can imagine, like, for a lot of people, you can't go to more than one World Cup. But now you have multiple field events. And people can't afford to go to multiple field events. Another thing to consider too is venues. So with the reason why you have like set venues for the World Cups, like Italia, Shanghai, and so on, is because they've already built the venues. The venues are not permanent. Like Salt Lake is a permanent venue, fantastic. But the other places are built for the event and they're taken down. So you need to actually have a venue which can support a world level event, and there aren't many field courses around the world which are world level. There might barely be enough for national level, but world level is a whole different thing. So logistics is very important too. I would love to see more field events. They're so rare. But should there be more? I would like to, but it's not as easy as putting in there. Phew! There we go. Alright, what else are we talking about? I've done one form check. It's been like 45 minutes. I've done like any form checks yet. I've got one form check. Alright. Let's put... I'll go back to questions later. Let's go to our next form check, okay? There are a couple more. This one's the old one. It's from Giuseppe. Giuseppe sent me... it's a 40-second video. It's from December, which means that he has probably improved since. But let's watch anyway and learn from Giuseppe. And very obviously from Italy. Let's have a look. This is good process, by the way. It's a good controlled draw. Those in chat talking about what draw weights, you need to be able to draw the bow like this to show you have the right control. Okay, so you're not forcing it back, you're not under pressure to shoot it, you have control. And I love this process. This is generally good form. Okay, so there's nothing hideously wrong with the shot process. This is right. This is really good stuff. So let's go through it again. So it has a pre-draw, there's tension on the string there. He lifts the bow up, addresses the target, so he's sighting there. and it's going to follow the process through. Draws low, anchors in. There's the contact point of his beard, I guess. Elbow is perfectly in line with the arrow. You can lift your elbow a bit. If you find that you don't engage the back muscles as easily, you can lift your elbow. But if you can do this fine at this level, this is optimal. Again, the less angle there is between the arm and the arrow, the better your shot will be. You get it behind the arrow, you get it in line with the arrow, it's gonna be good. And I think these shots are fine. This is fine. The release is a little floppy there, actually. A bit of a pluck, I think. Get back to the first shot. There's a bit of a pluck, I think. Let's watch this again. I think the first shot was pretty smooth. Again, nice process, nice contact. The grip's been wrapped up and built up, so it's a bit more customization there. This is looking fine. Anchor comes in, good draw. So it's a very distinct draw step. I'll talk about that a bit later. Anchor's in. Let's watch the release. That was okay. I think the release could be a little smoother. If there's anything I would change or improve, it's the release. It's not as smooth. You can tell the follow through. Like, I want to see squeeze in the back tension, squeeze there, and then whap. That was okay. I think this is a good shot. I think you should be happy with this. But there's one thing I'll probably pick out as a coach would be the release could be just a little smoother. But this is 6 months old now, so he's probably made a big improvement from there. That's a very quick analysis, but that looks really nice there. I like that. I do like that. Let's switch to our next one. Sorry, get my OBS back up. Bang. All right. Cool. So yeah, really smooth shot there, Giuseppe. Well done. Really happy with that. Not much to say. Otherwise, keep it up. I was going to make a point about something there. I said release. Did I say something else? No. Angle. Bow hand. Drop shoulders. That looked pretty good there. Not much to really comment on apart from that one. I did say something before. Right? What did I say before? Release, wasn't it? Yeah. Oh, the draw step. Sorry, no, remember. All right. Okay. So the thing that you might want to pay attention to is a lot of people don't have a distinct draw step. So what they end up doing is you basically draw, but you never stop drawing. So people, especially people who haven't controlled draw weight well, so they're overbow and they're struggling with draw weight, they might end up doing something like this. They might keep on pulling, and then they reach the anchor point and they let go. This is a similar thing to what Dwee did earlier in his form check. So you see professionals do this quite well, the top archers, and people who know have been trained well will do this quite well. You have a distinct draw step. You don't, but by distinct I mean there is a beginning and an end. So instead of going draw shoot or draw shoot, it's I'm gonna draw the bow first, get it loaded to a back muscle. So you see it. So a lot of people exaggerate this, especially with angular draw. They'll draw, alright, and then they anchor, and then they shoot. And this applies to all forms of archery, whether it's Olympic recurve or traditional bare bow. You need to recognize a draw step in your process, and that means that it has a start and a finish. All the steps are in one sequence, but the draw step is distinct. You don't have to go ooh like that, but what you do want to do is you have to feel it through your back. That's why you have a pre-draw, so you have some tension, and you have your body aligned correctly, and your shoulders and your back muscles are ready to be tensed up. You draw, you feel it in your back, and then you anchor, and then you can shoot. I'm doing this all day. I'll be shooting the 45 pound longbow. And if you get that right, it will feel absolutely amazing. But if you don't get the draw step right, you basically draw and you release. And I think what Giuseppe does really well in the demonstration is that he draws very smoothly. He has it controlled, he can anchor, and he can hold. So you understand that. I'll do it from the back too, by the way, just in case you wonder what I'm doing. So what I'm doing... Oh, yeah. Is that right? Yeah. Yeah. Fine. So what I'm doing, instead of going draw and just draw, release, what I'm thinking about is draw step, get it right in your back, then anchor. Okay? So it's almost like you need to get your draw and back tension correct before you anchor, not after you anchor. It's much easier that way. Phew, okay. Some quick questions before. Gin again. I have a choice between an aluminium and a wooden riser, and I choose wood because it's less vibration and hand shock. Is that normal? No, it's not normal. A good aluminium riser should be quite dense, so it shouldn't vibrate or have it. Hand shock shouldn't really exist, especially an aluminium riser. Hand shock tends to be a problem if you hang onto the bow. If you don't have to hang onto the bow, the hand shock is not something that's a big problem. It's mostly for trad bows or one-piece bows. Yeah, like Kaden said, you have to feel good. You have to feel good. I know I said before, intuition can lie to you sometimes when you don't do it right. But when you've been shown what the correct form looks like and you can feel the correct form, you can reinforce it. So that's why with Giuseppe was a great video. Looked through some really good form technique there. Here's a nice one to follow. The last one I've got someone sent me something. I think someone has sent me something. Lalit, you sent me a blank email. So you want to get a form check and you send me an actual email. Alright. Next one's from Jan. Or Jan, depending on how you pronounce the J here. I've got a few different angles. This is a nice sequence. It's a bare bow sequence, and this is the one I actually wanted to show because it shows really good back tension. So let's preload these ones from Jan or Jan. Let's go preload this. And I think this looks really good. Nice angle here. Let's try to get the right angles. No, I think this is right. We might watch 2, maybe 3 of these. It's the same one. No, it's a different one. Okay, good. Alright, we've got front, back, and back. Let's get the quality up a bit. Good, good, good. Okay, so we'll get the front view first. And then we'll work through the rest as they come along. Greetings from Russia. Alright. I think we are good. Let's do this. Flip over. And we'll flip in. And let's do it again. Let's watch Jan. So we're shooting a bare bow. He has the gillow. One of my shooters just has this. It has both the weight and the gillow weight. That's a nice bottom heavy bow, by the way. That is a lot of weight. That's really good. So the gillow weight attaches to the ride itself, so it's more in line. But default, the gillow has like a slot you can take out, but you can buy a second weight, which looks like the handguard of an assault rifle if you hold it sideways. But it's a nice bulky weight. Plus, there's another screw-on weight there, so that's a lot of customization. Should work quite well. Now, bare bow method. It's going to be a little different. I think Jan does a really good job with this one here. This is very good bare bow form in my opinion. And you can tell he's done a lot of personalization on this gear here. I'm not going to pick a lot of major things. I think it's really well done. There are some things people will observe like back tension, blah, 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 blah. But because he's shooting bare bow, his method has to be more like he has to get certain things right for the bare bow. So some people may say things like, oh, maybe he can anchor further back. Possibly he could. But he needs a certain positioning for the arrow tip to work, as well as the right facial reference point. This may be how he does it. That's completely fine. I'm not worried about that. As long as I see a nice squeeze, a good follow through, which for people shooting bare bow 3 I know be slightly different. But in this case, it's very clean. And there's some back views, which will show his technique a bit more. I think this is looking quite nice. Again, watch the shot. Yeah, looking alright there. There's a bit of shake happening. That's, again, reasonable and acceptable. There's no stabilizers. I would not be surprised if there's a bit of shake there. Every archer will shake. Even the top Korean Olympic archers will shake. And we're paying more attention to it, we'll see it more. That's normal. No one stays perfectly still, especially in distance. Yeah. It's a mild annoyance. I feel that you need a stronger contact point, but at the same time, the thumb, I can't see the thumb from here. I can see the cheek moving. That's probably a very strong point there. So I'm actually going to make a point about that. Ooh, was that a twitch I saw, Yan? Was that a slight twitch? Yes, it did. Okay, you probably noticed more than I do. Okay, so you probably know that was a weird shot, but if you get the half speed, you can see the twitch there. So you go the full draw. There's the aim, and then slight twitch. Twitch, hehe, got that. Right, the reason why I point this out is because this normally shows a loss of back tension. Oh, that works, okay. Frame by frame, yep. So it normally shows a slight loss of back tension, might be a target panic or twitch, but yeah, that can ruin your shot. People can recover, but that's normally not the easiest thing to do. Twitch, there we go. So we caught that. That's one mistake out of however many shots you did. Not a huge one. It's not like this is a big deal, but I think back tension might be one of your focal points. You want to maintain a good squeeze through your shot. Even shooting bare bow, you get to your anchor point, strong draw, get a strong anchor, and then power it through. This one, I feel if there's anything you should pay attention to is just maintain the flow of the shot. If you lose the back tension, then next time make sure you maintain that. Let's do one more scene from this angle. Get it through. I like the position of the arm here. This sets you up quite nicely with a good frame. The reason why I don't like the anchor point is it moves a lot. It's too organic to me. I know you probably have a sweet spot, which is why it might work for you. But if someone else is copying this, a lot of people should bare bow will probably touch the point rather than draw it back. It's a bit too loose. Might be, it is one thing you might want to kind of address, but that's not a... Again, if it works for you, I'm not going to say change it. Just be careful that it's not too inconsistent. We'll switch to a different angle. Let's watch this view. It's a nice long distance shot there. Camera angle is always light, but this is further than it looks. What was it, 50 meters, Jan? I'm guessing. The release could be, it was a little off center there. Speed. There we go. Let's watch the release. Let's see where the hand goes. You can see like the anchor point's kind of floating here. So what I'm sensing in your method, you're using your fingers as a reference point, not the string and not the arrow itself. So you're probably face walking, which makes more sense there. That's completely fine, by the way. So no issues. If you're face walking, then you're face walking. Alright, let's watch the release. Yeah, I think the release there was not as clean as what you might like, but not horrible. But probably enough to throw a shot off a bit. But again, doing okay there. And bare bow's tough because with bare bow you have to align the bow. That's one of the issues. You have to get everything so precise with your string alignment and your sight picture. The thing with shooting freestyle is you can ignore all these things, just focus on the shot. With bare bow you have to maintain this and the whole process. Tough demands. That was nice. That's a nice shot. Let's watch it again. That was a much cleaner release there. Good clean release, good snap. That was good back tension, good shot there. Let's see the same thing this time around. So in line, bit of wobble, that's okay. And the release is good that time. So yeah, we normally say having a tight ankle is a good thing, but if you're face walking, this might be different to you. And ooh, yeah, that's alright. I think this sequence is pretty good. Yeah, you might want to kind of set your body position, because there's a bit of a tilt there. But again, when you're shooting outdoors and there's no stabilizer, it tends to happen. And we go through. Again, very consistent. Nice squeeze. That's a nice shot there. Okay, cool. Looking good there. Nothing wrong with that sequence. One more angle from the back this time. For those talking about back tension, I think Yan does it really well. And we'll see the scapular movement here through his shirt. Watch the movement. So Dui, you're even watching this. This is what you want to watch out for. Okay, so people who don't use back tension, you will not see any movement in this shoulder blade. When you have correct back tension, the shoulder blade will pop out and will start moving inwards. Watch. There we go. That is back tension. And to finish a shot for correctly, you want to see kind of like this part come together. These two things here. Now this one's a little light, but you can see that's pretty good. It's a nice strong motion there. Now people really work hard, and we'll go back to the movement for the shot. That's in, hold an aim, and then squeeze. And there's the shot. It's a good demonstration. It's consistent enough where he should be shooting well at his comfortable distances. And a lot of it's environmental. It's used to it. So technique-wise, I think his technique externally looks really good. And a lot of it at this level would be psychological rather than technical. So this is looking pretty good here. I think Yan should be pretty happy with himself. He's accomplished a good, consistent shot process. And just a lot of fine tuning, and a lot of it's something like a coach can't teach you this, at least not from my point of view. You need to kind of get some nice one-on-one work if you really want to improve. But beyond that, it's a lot of range time in the field, time in the range, just practicing, and that's really what it is. Perfect practice makes perfect. I think Yan is enough to finish our analysis. He's done a good job of executing a consistent process with a bare bow, especially. He's in, back tension, bit of wobble there, but nothing too unusual. Good stuff. Well done, Yan. Happy that you sent me that video. So, good stuff. Alright, it's been an hour. We managed to squeeze in the last few videos together. What are we talking about? He's string walking, yeah. Thought that. Alright, anything else we're going to talk about in the chat? Is that a skirt in the background? Probably. Is the Sambac Avante a good aluminium riser for a beginner? Yes, the Sambac Avante is fine. Bit of an old model. It's been around for like probably 8 years, I think. It's nice. It's fairly affordable now. But it is pretty good. It's fine. Nice, easy bow to work with. Rocket Fist. Bare bow simply means there's no sight to stabilize this. There are particular rules. The things that like you have traditional bare bow. Like this isn't a traditional bow classification. It's just bare bow. So you don't have a sighting mechanism and you don't have long weights. You still want desirable things. Well, you still have a metal bow. You still have weights. That's basically, you have a plunger button, which basically allows you to shoot more precisely with the technology you have. You have a weight, which makes the bow heavier and therefore more controllable. That's about it. Bare bow isn't really that complex. Posture helps a lot. Posture is so important. If you do get posture wrong, you get out of alignment, okay? Good example of bad posture for beginners is back, alright? So, a lot of beginners will shoot with a very arced back. They'll draw and they'll arc that way. Bow time. Stop using pretend bows and use real bows. Okay, so let's turn it this way. Okay, so a lot of beginners, because they can't handle draw weight that particularly well, they'll end up doing this. They end up drawing and they'll lean backwards on that. We call it the Sydney Harbour Bridge as a bridge span. So it looks like this, and because you're trying to control the weight of the bow, they end up leaning backwards. Now, for most people, it's a bit more subtle. It might just be like that. So you sort of puff the chest out and arc the back, and what that does, it puts more pressure on your lower back. It puts your shoulders out of alignment. So two problems there. So things like body posture is very important. You don't want to be leaning backwards too much, nor do you want to be like hunching too much. Most people don't hunch. Most people who are pulling with a bow will counteract them by leaning backwards. Whereas if you want posture, you want to make sure your back is straight. One thing people teach is that imagine someone's got a string attached to your head and it's pulling you upwards. So you are having a straight, instead of having an arched back or hunchback, you have a straight back. So you're being pulled upwards by this motion there. But some people will hunch slightly just to get the arrow clearance. That works fine as well, as long as you're behind the arrow. The posture is super important. You got to get it right. A lot of people who shoot Even the fundamentals, things like not having the right foot placement is a big mistake. Like sometimes you don't learn this because you think, oh, I'll stand like this. I'll stand normally. But I watch people shoot, like including the guy I mentioned the story before, my club member who stands with like diagonal feet pointing both ways. How's that stable? That is not a stable stance. So you need to find the right foot position, the feet position. You need to find the right hip angle. You need to have the right everything. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Stance is the foundation of your shot. People overlook it. Your back posture is super important. If you don't get it right, you put too much pressure on your lower back, which is really bad for you. You get injured, or you might pop your shoulders out of alignment. Therefore, your shoulders get injured. It's super important to get posture correct. All right. Yeah, super important. Not just conditioning, but just like not like injuring yourself. That's why it's so important. All right. Oh, let's do that here. Jin. Why open apertures aren't common for bows when stand for Olympic rifle? Turns out Olympic rifle is, yeah. I'm not sure what the question was there. Oh, that probably wasn't a question. Yeah, I think talk about like open apertures. It's probably because the way we align with the string, with using a rifle, you don't have to physically pull back. Whereas, with a bow, you do. There's a physical element that involves using the bow. The sights. This is why sights don't work the way you think they do for like bows. People think sights aim for you. They don't. For a bow, it's just a reference point. If you're not using a sight, use something else, like the arrow or something. Zip, you are getting your YouTube channel up and running. Any tips? Watch my tips video on the YouTube channels. Serious question though. The question is, why do you want a YouTube channel? All right. I know you're fairly young, so you're probably ambitious. You want to show off to your friends how many followers you have. That's fine. Big thing for YouTube channels is, what are your goals? Okay. What are your goals, and what can you realistically achieve with the resources you have? So people will say things like audio and lighting are important. I don't think they are. They can help improve your production value, but it depends on what you are doing. If you're doing like instruction videos or talking head videos, you definitely need a good camera and good audio. But most important is you need good content. As much as the people in chat are giving you good advice now, this isn't, like, I don't know, the advice that people give are often too generic, and it doesn't necessarily work for some starting out. Kevin +3 is in a good position, by the way, to comment on YouTube channels, because he's making one right now. He's been doing it for a while now. Alright, look, I'm going to go through some of the advice people give so far. I'm going to see which one I would agree with strongly, which I don't. I'll give you my final advice. Okay, so going through, going from the question before. Kenneth says, be consistent with uploads. No, that is not important. This might fly in the face of everything you've learned about good YouTube channels. But remember, the really consistent YouTube channels have teams behind them. These are full-time YouTubers. They can make a vlog every day. They can edit and upload every day. Consistency is not important when you have 0 followers. Okay? When you have a following, then frequency is very important. When you're doing entertainment or blogging channels, you need to be frequent, otherwise people won't watch it the next day. But if you're making tutorial videos, then you don't expect people to watch every video, because people aren't going to. You need to recognize there are 2 audiences. One are your current subscribers, the people who watch you right now, and the people who will watch your videos, your non-subscribers, the people who will find you. So you need to understand that you need a product, you need content. Most of your content, if you want to grow your channel, has to appeal to a new audience. And then you have other content which appeals to your current audience. So when people say you need to be consistent with your uploads, again, when you have 10 people following you, it's not important. That's why when people make archery channels, what I recommend is make a lot of videos. Like you need a foundation and you need experience. So make basic tutorial videos. People won't watch them because there's like too many of them, but it's your staple product. It's like how every restaurant needs like good bread or good sides, good chips, because these are staples. Yeah, everyone makes them and very few stand out, but you need them. So you need to make sure that you that you have good fundamentals. That's why you should do things like safety, or you should do things like shot process, or how to string a bow, because it's a demonstration of how you do a simple process, and people will gravitate towards topics they know. They'll watch it, they'll do it very easy. So yeah, consistency isn't important when you start. It's like opening a new shop. You want to make sure you have a lot of good product on the shelves, not frequent product on the shelves. Once you've settled and established yourself as a shop, then you can rotate inventory in and out regularly. But you need to have content first. So my recommendation is consistency isn't important when you begin. You need critical mass. That means make a lot of videos which you are happy with, that are quality, and then upload. Alright, just upload. Don't worry about consistency. Once you have enough of a following, then you can have a plan. Because if you think, oh, I'll upload every Wednesday, well, in a year, you might get 10 subscribers. It means you're only making like 50 videos in a year, only, which may have low traffic and low appeal. Therefore, what you should do is make a lot of content and get the ball rolling, like snowball effect. And then once you get content, make it. But like I said, the big part is it depends on your goal. If you're making a regular contribution channel, like a gaming channel or something, then don't. It's just not worth it. Like you need appeal. So you're making like something that has a unique niche and appeal, then you need a plan. Are you going to? Is it something you're going to do regularly? Are you going to vlog? Are you going to make regular content? Or are you going to make one-off videos? Are you going to make like just like short animations? Are you going to make long tutorials? What are you going to do exactly? Alright, and understand too, you need to be resourceful. My advice is to be resourceful, because if you only have one person, then you need to edit, you need to make thumbnails, you need to do lighting, you need to sound. It's a lot for one person. So that's why you got to be realistic with what you can achieve with one person. Yeah, Rocket Fist says find a niche. Depends on what you want to do. Yeah, don't try to please everyone. That is correct. So niche is important. Like find out what your angle is. Big general advice is find something that you can do differently or you can do better. And don't please everyone. Again, you have 0 following, therefore you can make anything you want. The people who like your content will come and watch your content. Don't change yourself because somebody else doesn't like the way you do things. Only change if you feel it aligns with what you want to do. Nathan has good advice here. Avoid obnoxious stuff. A lot of people overproduce things like long introductions, long outros and intros. A lot of like way too much flashy stuff. You can still make a good video without having all the flashy effects. The mistake people make, especially young YouTubers, your age, Zip, is that the first thing they do is make an intro video. That is wrong, because you spend all this time decorating the front door of your shop, but your shop is empty. Okay, it is you should be like, if it's one thing, if you want to just get started, make videos, upload. You can make a good video without any intro, without any outro. That's how videos used to be. Now people are just making all these really flashy things. So the first thing you should do is do not make an intro video. That is a bonus. You can get away with that one. So, what is important is if you are presenting, and Nathan Ward is completely right here, is your communication skills. That means you need to be able to speak confidently in front of the camera if that is what you are doing. If you are making like voiceovers or gameplay footage, you need to be able to speak with good microphone, good quality, good clarity. And people are very picky about this. So being able to communicate is super, super important, and also something that is often poorly done by many YouTubers. And again, it depends on what you want to do with your channel, okay? But many, I otherwise very good tutorial channels or videos are let down by poor presentation, that is poor communication. No video, no one's gonna say, I wish this video had an outro, or I wish the video had an intro. No, people will say, this is really good, but I wish you could speak more clearly or more slowly or something. That's more important. Let's see. Anything else? People talk about arrows and veins. Cool. That's cool too. Wasn't following the conversation there. Yeah, do it on things you like to do, by the way, Kevin. Absolutely. Red Rook, I'm nearly finished, by the way, but if you can email me, sure. Yeah, do it now. I have to do so. You've got like 10 minutes to get this one done. While I'm ranting about YouTube videos, yeah. Like Kevin said, do it something you love to do. Like, don't make things because people tell you to make it. Make what you want to make. Like I said, only change if it aligns with your personal plans. Okay. You know, like, random examples. People say, "Oh, you should make more Let's Plays." I used to make Let's Play videos, but I don't like making them anymore. I want to enjoy my games and not have to like entertain the viewer's commentary. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm over it. So people say, "Oh, you should play this game and live stream it." If I don't want to, I don't want to. I see no personal gain, because if I start doing it, I commit to it. If I don't want to commit to it, I don't do it. So yes, only make what you like. Very, very simple. Yeah, personality is important too. Like I said, it just depends on what you're doing, but personality is very important because, you know, you're never gonna make a video. What makes your video worth watching? You know, gaming videos are a good example, just because like kids just make gaming videos and they think, oh, I'll make Minecraft, I'll make Roblox, I'll make PUBG or Fortnite. People watch videos. No, bullcrap. No one watches those videos. The people who are already popular can stream anything they want because people want to watch them play a game. Some people might play like one game and say, oh yeah, I want to watch you play Fortnite. That's cool. People say, oh, I get my students who say, sir, why don't you stream Fortnite? Who's gonna watch you play Fortnite? You know, I don't want to play Fortnite, and my viewers probably don't want to watch you play Fortnite, because there are like 10,000 other people who are streaming and recording Fortnite. So there is basically nothing out there. Ah, yes, pot shots. See, this is a good idea, right? I want to make gaming videos, but I don't want to make Let's Play. So what do? My twist is, I'm going to do archery pop shots. I will spotlight games with archery, play the archer character, and make a video about it. I might not get a lot of views, but I'll get like, you know, maybe 5,000 views in one video, rather than having like 10 people watch me live stream it, because it's going to take me like months to finish a game in the time that I have. I can make one video where I just compile everything in one shot, because that's my unique take, because people always do this. That will eventually be something I do, by the way, Arnis. I've got like 5 games lined up, but just I had time to script and do videos. So it's kind of like my dilemma. So I'm just typing my email address here, Red Rook, because you kind of missed the submission, but send it there. The thing that's like, I can make like an archery tutorial and get a bigger audience than a gaming video. But, you know, like Nathan pointed out, a change of pace isn't a bad thing. Once you have a following, that means you can make hub content. You make content which will draw people to your channel, and you can make other content which your current viewers will watch, and you can make even more content where people who don't normally watch this content will watch your content. An example of this is, let's say, Lindy Page. He makes history videos. People love his history videos, all his history videos. He also makes dance videos. Not as popular, but a lot of people will watch his dance videos. They don't go to him to watch him dance, but the fact that he covers it means that his current viewers will still enjoy his content. So that's the thing. Yeah, Arnish, you're right. Let's Plays are mostly for the personality, not for the game. Kenneth makes a good point. There are 2 types of people. People who are successful because of skill, and people who are successful because of personality. having both accounts, but a lot of people were successful in making this making a gaming channel, for example, or making any kind of topic is through sheer skill or through good personality. No juice. I was gonna have some watermelon juice, but don't have time. I was running late with the broadcast, so couldn't go and do it. And yeah, video essays are very good too, by the way. James, what do you do? Yeah, copyright infringement stops you from doing a lot of video essays and movies. You technically do have the right to use it under fair use, but YouTube's automatic system is deterring me from doing things like that, so not particularly fun to do. Do I use the biter wing hold to feature spin wings? No, I actually don't have one. I do have one which someone sent to me, which is 3D printed one, which is pretty cool. No, I use a normal fletching jig to do it. Otherwise, I do it by eye, which isn't as precise, but often good enough for most purposes. And a lot of people who do a lot of fletching regularly can do it by eye without a jig. But if I do use a jig, it'll be a regular fetching jig, not the biter one. Alright, do we have the video yet? This is your last chance. Because it's been nearly it's been 1.5 hours. Nearly 2 hours now. Oh, 1.5 hours, it's alright. Last chance, Rook. If you want to show me a form check, this is it. Otherwise, you miss out. I know this isn't really like a call out to you, but alright, let's delete the old ones. Man, I really want to review the bows and bow longbow. That was a really nice bow to shoot. It passed today. It passed the shoot in the general direction test, like a group of 30 meters, and it passed the everybody likes it test. So it's a good bow. I don't have it here. It's on my desk in the back, but it's a good bow to use. We're gonna have fun using today at the range. Tomorrow I've got a shoot on, so I'm not gonna use that. Oh well, oops, sorry, that was not what I wanted to do. Some interesting questions on the email here, which I haven't I've answered, but some interesting suggestions. Okay, well, I might. Oh, is that a question? By the way, I keep saying that if you want me to stay on, then ask me more questions, and I have to answer questions. It's not to waste time. Jim, is using foam arrows good practice in the backyard for form? You can't fire real arrows. I'm not fond of foam arrows. If you're just doing form practice, then yeah, I guess you could. But it doesn't matter what you shoot, as long as you shoot right. So foam arrows could work. The reason why foam arrows don't work well is they're very heavy. Alright? So you don't really have a good indication of what you're doing correlates to your form. Yeah, I don't recommend foam arrows for practice. Foam arrows meant for like LARPing, not meant for actual practice. I wouldn't recommend it. It doesn't interact the same way with a bow. James, teacher question. Do you use smartboards when teaching? There is some controversy about them in the moment. Some are worn out and buggy. Okay, good question. The answer is no, I don't. Smartboards, if you want to trigger me, talk about teaching, right? So, a few years ago, our school wrote out smartboards. Smartboards was the in thing in education. Smartboards are awesome. They're like interactive and interactive, blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. We had these huge smartboards mounted on top of our whiteboards, and we were pissed off because we have this much writing space and this much like smartboard space, and we can't write on the smartboards because look, there's nothing wrong with pen and paper and old-fashioned things. We want to draw diagrams and like write notes and stuff. You need to write them, rub them out. That's normal. But a giant smartboard limits you. Now I love the projectors, but the thing is now we have so much technology which allows us to use projectors in more meaningful ways. We have interactive tools that don't require smartboards. Smartboards were really good 5 years ago when nobody used them. But in my opinion, we still haven't had a function that teachers can use really well. There are things which I have forced to use, like things like, like moving things and labeling things and stuff, but you don't really need to do this on a smart board. It's just that I haven't seen something unique enough to make use of a smart board. I think it is overrated, in my opinion. And I'm the tech guy, by the way, so I can make it work, and people have really tried to make it work. But the thing is that the smart board, at the level we use it, thanks for the link, by the way, that works just as well. The problem with the smart board is that it substitutes something. The current thing with technology in schools, we follow what's called a SAM-R model, where at the very bottom, it's a substitute. At the very top, it allows you to do things that you can't already do. So, for example, right, basic level, if you have a laptop, that means you can type things instead of writing things. That's a substitution. That isn't really something different, okay? But let's say with technology, you can create, let's say, a video instead of writing down a role play. That's not substitution. That's like next level up. It allows you to do something a bit more. And there are unique things, but more so, like a smart board, there are certain things which can be really useful. For example, a lot of math teachers will do diagrams on the board using a smart board, which is much easier when you have like snap grids and tools. But for what I do, things like history and English, what would a smart board for? I mean, like people back when smart boards rolled out, we could say you can use the smart pen to highlight text to show examples. But now we have Google Docs. We can have Microsoft Word or Google Docs with the highlight function, the comments. It's so much easier to do other things with the current technology we have today. And smart boards are basically not that good anymore. Like we have all these, like I've never, apart from maths teachers, I've never seen someone actually use a smart board as a smart board. They're just projectors with pens which nobody uses because you need to calibrate them and people get it wrong, and like it's just I'm kind of turned off by smart boards. Let's put it that way. I'm not really interested in smart boards. Welcome to Archery, Break Twin, by the way. Nice to see you. How long have you been doing archery? About 7.5 years now. Do you know any archery coaches in Sydney? No, I don't. I'm sure there are people in contact who would, but I don't know any coaches in Sydney up there. How many kids on the team? Average class size is what, 25, 23, 25. I've got like 4 or 5 classes. Yeah, like school teach smart. I mean, like you spend like thousands of smart boards, but the teachers don't want them. All right, the teachers don't want them, but schools and states and governments will say, "Oh, you've got to use them in schools. It's new kind of technology." We don't want them. Who drew the tank? I drew that tank. It was a 60-second challenge. Yeah, like smart boards are great for maths. Do EXE make good bows? They make good bows. EXE are pretty standard for entry level, intermediate. Yeah, I think most teachers will agree. Like there are certain tools which you can find it useful. Things like iPads will find it useful. There are lots of apps and things which you can really extend. But yeah, smart boards, you can't force. If you're gonna introduce something new, you've got to train the staff to use it well. Now, for example, our science department does a lot of stuff with iPads. We use the Spear robots, and we can program using iPads, and the students have to like navigate obstacle courses using programmed steps, which they can use the iPads for, which is bloody fantastic. It's so much fun to do. But then we have stuff like, well, how do we use that sort of thing for English? How do you use it for math or for history? So you need to, you need to teach stuff how to use it. And if you just install it and you don't train people how to use it or how to find innovative ways of using it, no one's going to use it, right? So no one's taught me, no one's trained me on how to use a smart board really well in my English class. Now, I'm not a technophobe. I love technology. I've tried using it. But if you don't train me, I'm going to figure it out. And if I figure out that it's not as good as my old technology, I'm not going to use it. I don't believe tech should be used because it's tech. Tech needs a purpose. And that should align with your definition as well, your experience. What do I think of the Hoyt Tiburon? Is it good for the range? Of course it is. It's for hunting. The Tiburon is a hunting bow. it doesn't mean you can't use it at the range. In fact, the Tiburon uses a lot of elements of target archery. So Hoyt's target line, a lot of the tools, I mean, I think it's an ILF bow, right? So it has the same points of attachment as a normal target bow, except it's more compact and it's not for hunting. So the Tiburon's more exceptional because it can be as good as a target bow. They're probably not the best bow for pure target. Is it a good beginner bow? No, not really. It's a bit expensive for beginner. It's a good bow, so if you want to use it, go and get it. It's a good bow, but it's not a beginner bow in my eyes. Alright, did you send me a video? Yes, you did, Red Rook. You're pushing me, man. This is it. Okay, the last form check today. Let's do it, Rook. Let's do it. I've got your video. Let's have a look-see. Alright, this is completely blind. I'm assuming there's nothing offensive in this video. Let's do this. Let's do this. Yeah. Yeah. Can I take a point there? Smart boards are more... It's less waste, I guess, but... Considering the resources you put in making it and installing it, it might not be that cost effective. Back to our video. Let's do this. Let's watch this together. This is Red Rook's video. Joined it right in the last minute there. I'm hungry, but I'll do this just for you. Let's see Red Rook in action. That's a really clean video, by the way. This is not even on on max quality. This is a really clean video. Nice recording. Okay, let's see what he does. Yes, spare bow. And we're string walking. And probably shooting very short distance, because that's a very low amount of string walk. That's fine. Okay, this is shooting your home, I imagine. Or your backyard, or your house. Or at your house. Okay. So, with something that low, it can be really tough to shoot sometimes. Because the amount of force is unequal. But that's fine. You have your reference points. This may sound weird because it's bare bow. I mean, this may look weird because it's bare bow and you're string walking. What I would probably suggest for you, I feel your anchor point, whatever your reference point is a bit light. You know, I feel perhaps, I know you're just touching your chin here. It's a little loose. I think there's too many things at play here. Or, yeah, that could go wrong here. It's what you need for your reference point. But, I don't know, maybe align the arrow high and anchor higher. I'm not sure. Maybe I might say suggest play around your anchor point. I mean, this is short range, so you might not even need to do this at your normal distances. Right now, to me, it might be too loose, but it depends on what you're doing. What else can we talk about? Can't see your feet placement, by the way. I find often that the torso rotation might tell us a bit more. But if it's not a problem, it's not a problem. Alright, let's have another look over here. Alright. Yeah, I feel... my gut feeling is I'm guessing you're just starting out for maybe a few months. And the reason why I think this is because I feel you need to settle your anchor point more. You're getting there. There's a bit too much movement to get to your anchor point. I feel if you know exactly what you're pulling, you get straight into it. You anchor, you align, you release. No fluffing around, no unnecessary business. So if you watch this again, I want to see strong contact. Good draw in, and just get it right in there. Bit too much surging for my liking. Doesn't mean you can't shoot well, but the current kind of technique and coaching is going to have more streamlined movements, less waste of energy, especially when shooting a heavier bow. If you do that too often, for like a 90 arrow shoot or 144 arrow shoot, you get tired. You can't muck around back tension like that. So I want to say nice and tight inwards. Bit of a head tilt there. Ah, that's where you're shooting. That makes sense. Yeah, you're very close distance. Point made. Okay, I see your anchor point now. I couldn't see it before. And this is live commentary. I haven't seen it yet, right? So, okay, I see it now. I see it now. If we change the angle, wait, are you aiming with your opposite eye? Because that tends to be explain your head tilt. Are you left eye dominant? No, you're not, are you? Okay. Because that's a rather extreme kind of like the string is. Oh, maybe the camera angle's wrong. No, that doesn't matter. Ignore me. I'm tired now. I'm hungry. I'm hangry. All right, the back looks much better. Okay, that looks good. It's good. Yeah, it looks fine. Yeah. Something with the anchor and the. Oh yeah, you're doing the same thing here. All right, so you're coming into your full draw, and we're adjusting. Yeah, we've got to be better at getting it right. It's a powerful shot though. No, it's nice. You're snapping it back not well. Considering shooting really off center because of your string walking. Just be careful with your shoulder alignment too. You don't want to like pop it up or down, because you might feel yourself straining this part of your shoulder if you don't do it right. I also recommend you lean forward a bit. So tuck your stomach in, put your upper body this way a bit. You're leaning back a bit too. This is the posture thing we talked about here. I feel this is gonna be your biggest point. The other things I mentioned were just me watching and commentating myself live, but I feel that the most important thing is this. I think the waist isn't that bad, but I think this is a problem. You need to get back straight, because this doesn't look quite right to me from the back view. Oh, different angle. No, thanks by the way. No, nice angles. I mean, it's not that bad here, but you can definitely see the arc in the back. Yeah. It's a bit too much movement for a smooth shot. You're developing, which is good. So it's not bad to do this. I think the fact you're developing the rhythm is good. I think the main thing to watch out for, I guess, would be two things. I'll say the two things I'll watch out for. Ignore everything else I've said. Anchor point. Be confident and become familiar with exactly what your anchor point should be. If you have too much movement up and down to get it just right, you lose the flow of the shot and you lose back tension. And shooting bare bow means you have no reference point for your back tension. You have to recognize it correctly. So I would say try and get the back tension and anchor point right from the very get-go. More important in bare bow than in freestyle, because there's nothing to help you do it right. So try to get that one done correctly. The second thing is I'd probably suggest changing your back alignment a bit more. So perhaps leaning forward a bit, almost like you're leaning too far forward, but this is a bit too far back. So tuck your stomach in a bit, hunch a bit more of your shoulders, try and get this more out this way. The bow is too far back behind the center line, I think. That's my observation from your bare bow shooting. Plus, I'm really hungry right now, so my commentary isn't that good. So, any last questions, by the way? Cool. Your stance might be too much. 45 degrees is quite, yeah, 45 degrees is a very open stance. Yeah, Kevin, by the way, talking to Kevin +3, he does bare bow shooting more than I do, so yeah. I agree, change your anchor point. Hitting concrete, yeah. That's one where you can learn from your mistakes when you start shattering arrows. Yeah, I agree. Anchor point, probably won't change that, but you're shooting a very close distance, but you also want to reinforce good form too. Yeah, 45 degrees is a bit too wide. In my opinion, it might be comfortable, but most people wouldn't shoot 45 degrees. I mean, like, the trend now is more like square stance, I guess square. But earlier you might do like maybe start with like 10 to 15, maybe up to 30, 35 at best. But 45 is quite extreme. That's really diagonal. you really need a lot of back strength and flexibility to get 45-degree working well. And if it's not working well for you, consider that. Alright. Okay. I'm hungry. So, thank you all for watching. As usual. Hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoy learning from each other. And hopefully, I'll see you again next time. Soon. Hopefully. In a different live stream. I'll think about that. This is NUSensei. And we'll see you next time. I'm still hungry.